Okay, well, we're in the middle of a drought, and I just wanted to go over and point out a few things in my yard that I think are pertinent. This is a partridge pea. It's a native pea. I have probably as bad a soil here as you could possibly imagine, and these peas are 6 feet. They've been there for, I don't know, 5-6 years. I think I planted them, maybe more. They never go away, they're always in here. And right now they're actually thriving because I took out some Ailanthus. Now I cut this Ailanthus tree down, and it is now, cut that down in the spring, and it's about 8 feet tall already. Ailanthus is something that you cut one down and you get 10 back, and they grow even faster. Very aggressive, invasive plant. So I don't know if you can see the shine on there. That's a goner because I put triclopyr and imazapyr both and some oil on there, and that tree is going to die. The faster a tree grows, the faster it dies when you spray it. Native wildflowers just popping up, coming out of nowhere. And you can see the grass is all dead. Switchgrass that I planted at the same time I planted those peas. Switchgrass just doesn't care about drought because it'll, as much as you see above ground, that's how deep the roots go. Apple tree's looking pretty good, but that had an established root system, so it's making it. Ragweed growing beautifully. Now you don't necessarily want ragweed in your yard, but in a food plot, deer will eat that this time of year. Raspberries, thriving. They didn't fruit because of the dry weather. Just to review my summer cover crop, this is what my food plots ought to look like, but they kind of look more like my yard, which is dead from the drought. You can see that the sunflowers are 4 feet tall. The sorghum Sudan, also 4 feet. The cowpeas, they're about up to my waist. They're about 3 feet tall. You got sun hemp, but that's where I watered it. So it's all a matter of precipitation and deer pressure. Where I have dry soil and a lot of deer pressure, I have total failure on that particular mix. I haven't been up to New York to check it up there. You usually get a lot more moisture on that site. I also wanted to look at, there's an idea that I wanted to share that I don't think anybody ever talks about. Those spruces, if you really want to have a screening, Norway spruce is the way to go. It's a can't fail tree. Now the reason invasives are invasives is because they grow where nothing else grows. There's an autumn olive that I just yanked out of the ground one hot summer and just jammed it in my really poor soil here. Sometimes I think this soil is toxic. I can't get anything to grow in it. And that went from 2 feet to about 10 feet. Very invasive plant. In the yard it's okay because I needed something green in here, and so that's my excuse. It'll grow or nothing else will grow. Now I wanted to talk about this switchgrass a little bit. This switchgrass, all I did was I burned this hillside. I hit it with glyphosate. I got sick of mowing it because it's steep. Burned it down, then I burned it fire-wise. And every year, oh, I just stepped on a rose branch. That's nice. Every year I burn this early spring. And man, it just loves that. Doesn't care about the drought. It doesn't care about the poor soil I have here. And all I did was just take a handful of this stuff. I went around with a bucket, scuffed up the ground, dropped it on the ground, and stepped on it. That's all I did. Same up there. I have a wall of switchgrass there that was just hand planted with a bucket full of seed and my foot. You don't need any fancy equipment. You just need some bare ground. So I just wanted to mention that. This isn't switchgrass, but it's very similar species. It's an ornamental. That's an ornamental up there. Sumac, just kind of, after I burned this, the sumac took off. It's really interesting to see what grows when you burn something, because you create an open palette for seed to fall into. This tree came from seed. I took down a deck that was on the house years ago and I burned it right there. And that seed took hold, and it's a tree. It's about 20 feet tall. So the sumac really liked that bare ground. It showed up from bird shit, you know, basically. The birds land on the wires up there and drop seed. That bunch of raspberry, there used to be a tree there, and birds dropped seed from the tree. When I took the tree out, I got a beautiful raspberry bush. So what's the point? I think the point is native plants are something you should nurture. I was even thinking about this year buying some native plant seed from Ernst Seed Company. They have all kinds of native forbs up there. Figure out what deer eat in your region, and if you burn off an area, you can plant it. Why not? It's one way to be sure that you're always going to have some forage and not have drought kill off virtually everything. And if you're just counting on planted crops that are from other parts of the world, you don't necessarily have success every time. And with that, I will leave you and see you next time.